If you can't do pull-ups, it can be frustrating to watch tutorials teaching you how to do it, only to find out that you struggle with the regressions as well. More to the point is that if we look at all the possible exercises we could be doing that ladder up to pull-ups, we can end up at risk of being mired in the flood of options at our disposal. So today we're going to go through how to make pull-ups easier, specifically being able to do the full vertical pulling movement, concentric and eccentric, and we'll be selecting the exercises that I believe are most effective, starting with the easiest and most accessible and working our way up until we get to the full pull-up itself. And let's start with the first one, which is machines. Okay, so I'm usually quite critical of machines when placed in the context of calisthenics training. The advantages of machines when it comes to muscle building is usually the downside of machines when it comes to calisthenics training. They generally isolate one muscle group. They lock us into a set movement path, they discourage full body tension, and where our bodies are all different, machines tend to be built for the dimensions of your average gym bro. That being said, if you're starting out as absolute pull-up beginner, then machines like the pull-up assist or the lat pull down can help with building confidence in pulling more significant weight. And amongst beginners, a common weak link that we typically have is grip. Grip strength does usually let us down in those early days of pull-up training, so instead of grabbing raw steel of the calisthenics bars, we can acclimatize to the soft rubber of a machine on day one. Machines also make progressive overload in our pull-ups far easier. It just becomes a factor of increasing the weight. Personally, my biggest pet peeve when it comes to machines in the context of calisthenics training is that so many people just stop here. We as beginners may try so hard to get our first pull-up, leaning heavily on machines to get us from this machine point to the point of the land of doing 3 pull-ups on our bar, and that gap is just too big. You can't bridge that gap with just machines alone. No, we're setting ourselves up to be disappointed, which we just don't want to do. So let's talk about the level up from here, which is a jackknife pull-up. In the jackknife pull-up, we get into what is essentially a seated position and perform a pull-up with the feet assisting us through the rep. Cali Crowd, I love this exercise, not just because it gets slept on by so many bodyweight athletes, but because once we've graduated from machines, we can start to layer on the best traits of bodyweight training. We're using our bodyweight as resistance, so the jackknife pull-up is already more readily available as an option when compared to a machine, and with the feet supporting us in this movement, we still have that assurance and stability. Progressive overload in the jackknife pull-up then just becomes a matter of limiting how much support the feet are giving us. And so you know, this video is powered by my own Couch to Pull-Up program. If you're looking for a step-by-step guide to take you from zero to pull-up hero, then Couch to Pull-Up is the program for you. Link will be down in the description below. Moving on, I want to give an honorable mention to the bodyweight row. Many consider rows to be a pull-up progression, and they're not exactly wrong. Rows do help with building overall pulling strength. This includes pull-ups, but calling it a pull-up progression implies that once you've got pull-ups, then you've kind of graduated from rows, and that's not entirely the case. Horizontal pulling is a realm of movement in its own right, one that we should always include in our training. You don't see serious bodybuilders choosing between bench press or military press. These movements complement each other, but ultimately they need both classes of movements, and it's the same when we come to the bodyweight row, so be sure to be including horizontal pulling in our pulling movements. The third way we make our pull-ups easier is arguably the simplest, and it's by using bands. It's rare when I have such a black and white view on things, but I can say that all content hating on band-assisted pull-ups are just after controversy clicks. In an exercise like the pull-up, we need more than just brute pulling strength. We need grip strength, we need to be able to stabilize ourselves and prevent swinging, and we need to be able to get our larger back muscles to fire in a movement that may try to place this burden on the smaller muscles of the arms. Cali Crowd, the band-assisted pull-up, takes all of this and allows us to learn it in a way that is immensely transferable to the pull-up proper. The criticisms that the band helps us the least in the hardest part of the rep are fair, but not only is this something that we would have had to deal with eventually anyway, but touches on something that I do want to mention in this video, and it's that other progressions do exist. The exercises that we've gone through today allow us to make the full pull-up far easier and more manageable. But for example, if you are struggling with the hardest part of the pull-up, the top, then superset any one of these with pull-up top holds. If you feel like your pull-ups are unbalanced and one arm is stronger than the other, then use a progression that allows you to isolate that one arm and work on your weak links. And if you feel like you're extremely close to getting that first elusive pull-up rep, then dive into some pull-up negatives. I feel a lot of the ambiguity with pull-ups is centered around people not doing things that are specific to their own goals and specific to tackling the parts of the pull-up that they need to work on. But that being said, if you want to take a look at every pull-up progression and see how they rank in the light of getting us to our first pull-up, then check this video out right here.